Hello again, everybody. I am Wanda Thibodeau. You might have seen the 12 video series that I did on eating disorders and the update to that. This video will deal with eating disorders again, but this time I'm going to leave all my research aside and I'm going to speak directly from my own experiences. I just have some things I need to get off my chest because I have been looking at other YouTube videos. I've been talking with other people who haven't been through the eating disorder illness, and I really feel that there's some things that I need to address. So as I was looking through the other YouTube videos, basically they fall into 4 categories. The first category is the category that says eating disorders are awesome, they're filled with inspiration and that kind of thing. Second category is from friends and family who say, basically the message is that eating disorders are hurting everybody, so please stop, that kind of thing. Everybody's angry or upset. And the message there is pretty much that the eating disordered individual doesn't understand how much they're hurting anyone else. Third category is the group of people who say that eating disorders are all about attention and just totally rant about how stupid eating disorders are. The fourth category is probably the one that speaks to me the loudest. It's the category from people with eating disorders that repeatedly say that no one is really listening to them and that they've tried to get help and it's not working in one way or the other. They talk about, how painful it is, that kind of thing. So I have a few things to say to each category of people who are putting these videos up. To the first category, if you have a typical eating disorder, it's probably just the honeymoon phase of the disorder. It won't last. Eventually, you will get depressed. You will feel that it controls you more than you control it. It is not a good thing, and eventually, all the little tips that you get from these websites or whatever, they will make your life hell, quite frankly. So if you can get out of that, please do, because and then the idea of it being a lifestyle, to me that's more of an atypical eating disorder, because typical eating disorders have with it a negative mentality. If you're saying this is awesome, 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 it's a lifestyle, then you're portraying the idea that it is a choice. And if you still have that control over it, and if you still it's not connected to you hating yourself in any way or, a bad experience that you had that you're dealing with through stress. That's not a typical eating disorder. You have to make that distinction. Please, please don't let it go to the other direction where it is a typical eating disorder and you do feel like crap about yourself because it isn't working and you're dieting and it's, all the stuff that goes along with it. It's totally not worth it. To the third category, I get so upset when I hear everybody say that it's about attention or control. During my own illness, I never, ever wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to, make myself seem better than anybody. To me, it was bringing myself up to the level of other people. I felt that I had to totally fix the flaws that I had. And that was the way that I did it. That was the way that I dealt with the stress that I had. And I didn't want to control anything. It was just, like I've said in the other videos, it was like I was making this little bubble for myself where nobody could hurt me. I could just deal with the stress that I had. I didn't want to change what was going on necessarily. And I saw how upset people were. I just couldn't stop it. So it's not about control. We would stop it if we could. That's why we need help. But it's totally not like that. We do understand that we're hurting other people. The problem is that we feel that it makes us feel like more of a problem, which just perpetuates the disorder. If you tell a person that they're selfish and they have an eating disorder, it just makes it worse because they feel like a problem. So please, please stop saying that they're selfish or that they want to control everything. Think about the other reasons why they might be doing that to themselves, because it's not always about control. And to the fourth category, I understand, because the first 3 categories of people make it very hard to get the message out of what it's really about. There are a couple of other things that I want to address too. Um, there are people who have expressed that professionals are the ones who always need to deal with this, and that we need to trust them. To a certain extent, that is true. They do have a certain amount of education, but for instance, two anorexics, one is overweight, one is not. They mirror each other in thought and every action, okay, theoretically. In that scenario, and I really think this is a realistic scenario, if they start side by side and mirror each other with what they're doing and thinking, the heavier one isn't going to meet the diagnostic criteria for anorexia before the one who is naturally thin. So once again, you have the overweight people being discriminated against in terms of getting help. I think that is completely, it's awful. I really do. I think essentially I see them as all being one disorder, and based on, trying to diagnose a mental illness based on physical criteria, that's ridiculous in my mind. It's absolutely ridiculous. Treatment centers are also ridiculous. For instance, imagine this scene. You have 20 anorexics all lined up in a treatment center. They're expected to eat, and everybody else can see what everybody else is doing, depending on how the treatment center works. But the first person to eat is now abnormal, because when you're in a treatment center, to eat normally is abnormal. You don't want to be the odd man out, okay? And nobody addresses things like that. They don't talk about how the mob mentality in the treatment centers can make things worse. These are very serious problems. Also with the idea of therapy, that you can go in for an hour and that it's on a schedule. And after that hour is up, you're not going to feel anything anymore, and you just go on with your day. That's ridiculous too. If you're going to have therapy, you need to be able to have people who can talk about it with you if you're still upset, who can make sure that you're okay. And right now, we do not have that. That is a huge problem in our system. And then the other thing that I want to end this video with is the idea of overeaters. To overeaters, I feel such empathy for you, because even though that wasn't my problem, I completely understand how discriminated against you are being. It's always, most of the time and anyway, the eating disorder literature doesn't really talk about binge eating. If it does, it talks about getting control back of your life, which I think is ridiculous, because again, it's not necessarily connected to control. It's connected to how you feel and how you view yourself, and the two are not necessarily synonymous. I see them as being essentially the same disorders, and they're portrayed as being out of control, so they don't get help. And if they do, it's just, oh, well, just pop a few pills. Well, stop eating. That's your problem. You're overweight. It's making you depressed. No. In some cases, maybe, but I really don't think that that's the issue. I really don't. And, people can comment on this and get their viewpoints out there, but I feel that they're all essentially the same illness. I think we need to totally stop seeing them as separate, and I really think that we need to overhaul the system. Anybody who agrees with me, please leave me a comment so I can get some feedback. It's very difficult for me to go against the grain on what I'm saying here, or to go against the grain of what many professionals or even other YouTube video people are saying, because there isn't a lot of feedback. And so if you agree with me, just debate it or whatever, just so I can see where I'm at, to see if there's a response for this. So with that, that is the end of my rant. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Thanks.